Welcome to the Shrewdness. We are so excited about this baseball-focused endeavor. As teased in prior episodes, we are doing 15 to 20-minute primers for each MLB team to prepare you for this 2025 season, to help you with your fantasy baseball drafts and future bets, or simply to improve your knowledge as the season begins. From the projected starters to the prospects, we will touch it all and give our shrewd takes on the key to their success. So sit back, take some notes, and enjoy the show.
Hello, Shrewdness fans. Welcome to the show. We are in our baseball series doing another short on each major league team leading up to baseball season. Today's episode is going to be led by Dex, and we are talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Dex, lead us off.
I know, I can hear the excitement out there in the Shrewdness universe.
The perennial
Pittsburgh
contender.
Pirates.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Wow, I love their uniforms.
Where's Sid Bream in the lineup this year, Dex?
Sid Bream. Rack, that's just the best. Like the no druggy berry bonds. Yeah,
right.
That's it. But the current version, so
They still paying Bobby Bonilla? No?
yeah, well, I think they finally paid off Bobby Bonilla, and I think it was the Mets actually.
That's the Mets.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But still, we digress. So Pittsburgh, is last year's kind of get us caught up. 2024 finished dead last in El Central. This year's projections, dead last in El Central. So I think they'll have some company, though. I think they'll be battling out with a Ratatouille St. Louis team and a Cincinnati team that's also not real good, as they both stare up at the Cubs, who run away with Milwaukee, just between those two teams.
Yep.
But that being said, let me go ahead and let you know what's up. So last year, 76 and 86. This year's projections for Fangraphs, 78 wins. Pacoda, 74.7. The over-under on the books right now is 76.5. So we'll go into kind of at the end where I'm going to do my take and
So
go
Pittsburgh
from there.
fans liked last season.
Yeah.
Get ready for this season.
So, but here's the glimmer of hope
Rinse and repeat.
for all the Pittsburgh Pirate fans out there. Even though the projections are for dead last, they may well be on their way to a mid-90s Braves rotation. They are going to be. I mean, I might even just start there because the lineup is just kind of.
You should.
So this is where it's going to begin and end. Is Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller, Johan Oviedo, and Bailey Falter. And I'll get to the rest of the two because the good thing is their strength in the farm system too. So they got more help coming even if something happens. So that's their top five. They're not really that bad. Their defense is fantastic. They got a couple Gold Glove winners in the lineup, and their pitching, if they weren't so young, they'd probably get a little more street cred, but they are. They're very young. We have to see if they can actually handle a full major league season and everything else. So they got a solid top three starting pitchers, but boy, are they going to have to be on their game, throwing a quality start each and every game to win these games 2-1, 3-2. Because if they give up 4, man, it's over. They're going to have to win all the close games and have to pitch. The good news is I think they got the pitching to do it. But, man, that's what a 500 team looks like that to me, man. So we'll see what's up. So we'll go with the pitchers. So returning an anchor to the top of their staff, Paul Skeens, is an absolute beast. So he finished third in the NL Cy Young last year.
Livy done.
And just unbelievable. And Livy done, yeah. I mean, he's also probably helps out his stats, but he's already an ace, and he's legitimately one of the top 3 pitchers in all of baseball.
He's ridiculous.
He's got so many pitches. They're all stupid. He strikes out everybody. And just to give you a thing, so 22 years old, he shows up, I think May is when he came up. I might be off, but regardless, right around there. Even in 2 months, he started for the National League in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
In July. So after they saw
and he deserved it too.
I think he went 8-0 to start his career.
It wasn't like, oh, this guy's got a lot of promise, we're going to start him. It was like, no, you're the best pitcher in the National League right now.
Exactly. So he had promise and he delivered. So last year's stats, 11-3, 196 ERA, 0.95 whip, 170 to 32 Ks to walks, the lowest rookie ERA since 1913. I'm what?
Wow.
That's stupid.
Crazy.
111 years of baseball history, lowest one since then. So when we're talking about generational, we're talking 5 generational talent.
It's
I
crazy.
mean, your grandpa's grandpa doesn't remember those guys.
Right.
So it's one of those things. So he's a legit number one and young, by all accounts, just a workhorse. So I think, there's 15 to 20 wins right there. If we're getting to 76, you can go ahead and pencil that in.
Right.
So the next one we get is Mitch Keller.
Mitch, don't call me Brad Keller.
Yeah, but Mitch Keller, he's very good. And 28-year-old, he's a solid dude who eats innings and brings consistent starts. So he averages a K per inning, and he's going to keep the team in the game. But again, if the offense doesn't hit the games he starts, they're probably not going to win those.
And he's the oldster of the staff.
He is. He's a crusty old veteran of 28.
Yeah.
But he's not a bad number 2. And when you're looking at the rest of the teams in the NL, it's not that bad. Their third guy, who actually would have had some, probably at least more attention, is Jared Jones. So, but for Paul Skeens coming up in his rookie year, the other rookie in the Pirates rotation was pretty good. 6-8, 414. He gave up some homers. That was kind of his bugaboo last year, but he strikes out a ton. So 132 Ks and 122 innings pitched and a 119 whip, which is nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty darn good. Whenever you're under 125, in my book, you're pretty darn good. You're in the top half, above average. The fourth and fifth starters, that's kind of where we start getting wobbly, but they're not horrible. So Oviedo, he's 26, and he missed the entire 2024 season of Tommy John. But when he is healthy, he's going to eat innings, and he's going to be a good major league average 3 to 4 guy. He's nothing elite by any means, and he's easily replaceable. He walks too many people. That's his problem. And he needs to be good or he's going to get replaced soon, and I'll talk about those prospects in just a second. Their last guy is their fifth starter, currently slated, who could easily lose his job in the rotation to one of these prospects, is a 27-year-old. He's the only lefty, though, so that's why he might stay in there.
Yeah.
Because you always got to have a crafty southpaw.
You need a southpaw.
And so below average stuff, no real swing and miss in the game. From a fantasy perspective, you're not even looking at Oviedo and Falter. You're just not. He's just average.
Are you saying Bailey might falter?
Oh, man. Woo! Ching, boom. Excellent work. That's what I'm talking about. Bailey may falter. And when he does, here's who's coming up. The Pirates' number 1 prospect.
I don't think that was the hi-hat. I think that was the drum roll.
It was the wrong one. But we're not going to go back to it.
The prospect is...
The prospect is... Now you can drum roll, Prue.
What the crap?
Oh, no. Now we're patting when the drum roll needs to hit. Oh, we're falling apart at Shrewdness.
So bad.
All right. So... let's just head on back to what I was going.
So rewind.
So the future 4 starter is Bubba Chandler. He is a right-hander. He's a top prospect in the Pirates organization. He's number 15 overall on the MLB list. He jumped from the 93rd ranking last year after last year going 119 innings, striking out 148. That's right, 148 Ks in 119 innings. He's just waiting for an opportunity. And they're not going to pitch him this spring. They've already said as much. But I don't know how he's not pitching by May or June in this rotation. And
that makes it kind of fun then. If you got him in there with those top 3.
And if you got room on a fantasy draft and you got a minor league slots, so I know a lot of leagues do that, to include all of mine. They all have minor league slots. So look for Bubba Chandler. You could do worse. And you're not going to have him until probably May or June. But when he comes up, he should be pretty darn good. The other prospect they have that's really good is Thomas Harrington. And the thing is, he's one of the guys they may just trade. So he could be someone at the trade deadline if they are actually doing better than they think. He is someone that potentially could get traded. So he's their second pitching prospect. But they also have a couple other guys. So his upside is probably an SP3. But again, if you got a league that goes deep into the minor league guys and prospects, just keep an eyeball on him and see how he does this spring in the minors. He's going to be at the AAA level. And see what he does. So that's kind of where we are for the pitching staff, which is the absolute strength of this team.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to put somebody in the field. So herein lies the projection for last.
Where it gets dicey.
Yeah, so we start off with an icon of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, he may well have played in the 70s.
Face of the franchise.
Terry Bradshaw. Oh, wait.
So this guy, he may well have a statue put out there after his career is done. But Andrew McCutchen, right? So
Oh, yeah, McCutchen.
in his prime, which was about, 10 years ago, when they also had him before he went and played on two separate teams to include Philly and the Yankees. He's just a shell. So he's a DH only now. He's not even going to be in the field. His average is kind of dumpy. He still gets on base enough, so he's going to walk, but he's certainly not going to be stealing any bases. But I think what he provides the most and the most important is just the leadership for this team. So they've got some young dudes that have potential. And so I'll head on next down the list. Brian Reynolds, he's good. He's really good. Any team would love to have him.
Yeah,
he's a 30-year-old perennial all-star, and he earns it. It's not just because Pittsburgh has to send an all-star every year. He's good. He's legitimately good. And 4 straight years, solid performance at the plate, in the field. There's talk he could potentially see some first base because their one signing that was supposed to help the offense. It's kind of an unproven guy with Spencer Horwitz from Toronto.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
But he got hurt, so he's out 6 to 8 weeks. And so they're going to have to do something until probably May. And so there's different options, and I'll kind of run through what those are. The guy they want to hit, that they need to hit and become a star, is 26-year-old center fielder O'Neal Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got all the tools. He looks the part, and he's fast. They moved him off of shortstop because he was just god-awful. So he had 24 errors at shortstop, a -9 defensive runs saved. So when we get
Can
to
we
the
call
Royals,
those runs saved at -9?
Yeah, we'll talk about what a good number looks like when we talk Bobby Witt later in another episode. But yeah, -9. They couldn't do it, so they put him in the center field because he can just run it down. But he'd actually never played outfield in his at all in the majors, so they're shifting him out there. I think he'll probably be better this year now that he's had some reps. But after he broke his leg early in 2023, he came back and is just striking out too much. So he just got to cut down on the strikeouts. And I don't know.
He is one of those guys that's kind of. He is one of those guys though that's kind of fun to watch at the plate.
He is.
There've been a couple times that I'm like, oh, I'll watch him because he's one of those guys. Anything can happen when he's up there. He can put the ball in play. There's going to be some action. So I do like him.
He reminds me of
you're right.
A De La
strikeouts
Cruz
are
for
rough.
Cincy and a Jazz Chisholm that's now in the Yankees.
Yeah.
He's kind of that. He can knock it out of the park. He can get a triple for you. He can make plays and defense. So he's an exciting player. They just need him to be consistent. So I think if they do that, that's going to be a big part of how they do on offense this year. Slated for number 4 in the lineup right now. Again, these are subject to change for the lineup, but Joey Bard at catcher. So he's 28 now, and you may have heard his name. Like, why do I know his name?
He's already 28.
He's a top prospect in the San Francisco organization forever.
Yeah, that's right.
So he was supposed to be the heir apparent to Buster Posey when he left. It just never happened. It just never clicked for him. But he got traded last year, and after he left San Fran, he actually did all right. So he was a number 2 overall pick in 2018.
Change of scenery was good for him.
Change of scenery worked, and sometimes it does.
Yeah.
So the good and the bad part for Pittsburgh is that their number 1 overall pick in 2021 is Henry Davis, also a catcher. So now you kind of want that guy to have playing time, but flat out, Joey Bart just outperformed him. So he had power, he brought some average, and he's pretty good behind the plate. So they're probably hoping for the best, and they'll probably rotate both those guys. And I assume maybe one of those guys will be playing some first base too. They're just going to have to find a way. Next up in the 5-hole.
It's hard when you have all these bats. Find spots for people.
That's exactly right. Where can I put you? They're just going to draw a line, man. And
if they have any night games, McCutchen won't be able to stay awake for those. So.
That's
exactly.
Right.
So their second base this year slotted for Pittsburgh is Nick Gonzalez. Man, I don't even have too many notes on him. It's just Nick Gonzalez. So he's a 25-year-old contact hitter, not real fast, not much pop. He just plays defense, man. So he's not too bad with the glove. And I don't know, whatever. Not exciting, easily replaceable by anybody that can do anything. So next up,
he's Keith Lockhart.
Mike Smith.
Yeah.
Somebody with a very forgettable name.
Totally.
All right. And so the one of their big signings in the offseason, and I wish he didn't get hurt. I mean, he ended up having surgery on his thumb and wrist. He's a left-handed hitter, Spencer Horwitz. So he played with Toronto last year. So he's a rookie with Toronto last year at age 26. So he's 27, but he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks now. So until May. And man,
I also hate that it's wrist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're a power guy. It just never seems to work out.
Mm-mm.
And by rarely, I mean never. I've never seen, my wrist is feeling great. No, I mean, it's going to be terrible. So he might be double-digit homers. But they were expecting like 20 to 30 is what they wanted.
Right.
But in limited time last year, he kind of cranked out 12, but is only in, I think, 80 games or something. So it's pretty decent. All right, so that brings me to the next disappointment draft pick that they've had.
I had so much high hopes for this guy.
Yeah, Brian Hayes. So for those that remember the early 90s Rockies, Charlie Hayes, that dude is actually very good. His kid also has all the tools to be good.
He does.
Just is only done it with a glove. So he did win a Gold Glove. I think 2023 he won it. And that's what's keeping him at third base because it sure ain't as hitting. 2024, this is just gross. Like, just to say the numbers out loud, you almost have to go rinse your mouth out.
Uh-huh.
So in 96 games, 233, 4 homers, 25 RBIs, 11 stolen bases. So I'm like, well, that's
4 homers out of the hot corner.
Yeah. But their problem is that this guy, in his first 85 major league at-bats, hit 5 homers. His first 85 at-bats. In the next 700, he's had like another 10.
Right.
And they just got kind of juked in 2020 in that little COVID-shortened season. And he came up and just rocked it for September, and they've never seen it since. So if he can accidentally learn to elevate a ball while touching the ball, that'd be very helpful. But really at 28, if you haven't picked a click by now, man, I think he's just waiting for the next guy. But the other issue is that they signed him to such a long contract early because they thought they had their guy. They're locked in through 2029. So they got,
which is kind of the trouble when you're a small market team like Pittsburgh. If you think you got lightning in a bottle, you kind of have to strike because you're like, if this guy keeps going like this, we're not going to be able to afford him, so we got to get a deal. Then if you miss,
you're paying forever.
Stuck.
And so
nobody else wants him if he's
right.
They got 5 more seasons of guaranteed pay, and they're hoping they get something. And so who knows?
Brian.
Yeah. Yep. He's taking it all the way to the bank. Which brings me up to our next guy. So slotted for right field. Oh, the journeyman, Tommy Pham. Yeah, that's right. You're like, Tommy Pham's still playing? So that's what I said. I couldn't believe this was a signing.
I've always liked that guy.
And for the Shrewdness listeners from last year, you'll recognize that. Tommy Pham, I always liked that guy.
Ex-Royal.
Yeah, ex-Royal last year.
Ex most teams at this point.
But listen to this. This is like, you'd probably lose a bet, but 7 teams in the last 3 seasons. There's only 30. So it's kind of unbelievable. He's played for damn near 25% of them in 36 months.
3 years.
That's unbelievable.
In his mid-30s.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what? People must really like him in the clubhouse, right, Dex?
I don't even know. They either think they will or I don't even know. But he's just a placeholder. He's literally just sitting there to do something. You're not winning championships with Tommy Pham in right field.
No.
All right, next up, shortstop, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. So always love the hyphen guys. 29-year-old defensive infielder, Gold Glove winner in 2020 at third base. No pop, contact first guy. Again, for fantasy purposes, when we look through this lineup, you're looking at Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz. That's the end of the list.
And then crickets.
Then you're doing Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Jared Jones. That's it. So that's what we're looking at. Now, here's who's likely going to play first base for those first 2 months, and he could be okay. So we'll see what happens, but he just doesn't necessarily have a profile that's going to do a lot of damage at the plate. Jared Triolo. So he played infield, outfield. He's one of the dudes that plays 5 positions. So he's just all over the diamond, and he'll play a lot. But here's what I found out doing research is that they actually give out a Gold Glove to utility guys. And Jared Triolo is the guy who won that last year for Pittsburgh.
I did not know this.
Yeah, me either. So the things you learn when you start diving in,
right?
Shrewdness gets you up to speed, baby. So he's probably going to be filling in at first base until Horwitz gets back. And yeah, he's going to be playing a lot all the time. So the good thing about having a Gold Glove utility guy is you can put him wherever you want on any given day.
Yeah, days off and all that. Yeah,
it's a valuable piece to have for sure.
It is. And the pitchers definitely want him back there because he gets the ball. So they don't need extra outs because they got goofuses like O'Neal Cruz at shortstop booting the ball around.
That's right.
So putting him in the outfield, just go shag it, O'Neal. Just run fast. All right, so I'm going to go into the no one really of note. They got Adam Frazier in kind of a transaction, just a one-year deal. He's going to be filling the utility role just like Casey last year. So he'll fill in some outfield spots. He'll play some infield when they need it. But he's just kind of bench depth and pinch hitting. As we go to the bullpen, their closer is David Bednar, who was an all-star closer. But, boy, was he terrible last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. So he saved 23 games, but when you're
Seems
closer,
like a long time ago that he was an all-star closer.
It does. 2 years feels like 5.
Right.
But he saved 23 games, but a 3-8 record with a 5.77 ERA. That did not help the pitchers at all.
Had a 142 whip.
Hey, at least you're guaranteed an interesting ninth inning.
It is.
Makes it exciting.
He's slotted as their closer, but I can easily see that changing.
If anyone,
exactly.
and I do mean anyone, shows any promise whatsoever,
and so I only put 2 dudes on the list to even talk about that could take this spot. So Colin Holderman, he's a setup guy, and they used him a lot. So as is normal, it's usually starters that didn't pan out. So their setup guys are 29 and 28. But Holderman, he's not that bad. So he had a 1.77 ERA up through July. He had a bad August, though. But he could definitely take save opportunities if Bednar struggles.
Don't you think, though, he's kind of destined to be a setup guy with a name like Holder, man? Right?
I'm a holder, man.
He's not closer, man. He's holder, man.
I love it.
That's not your closer.
Yeah.
That's your setup guy.
Yeah. Come on, Colin. Let's go, bro. So their other guy that's going to be trying to shut the door and do high leverage situations is Dennis Santana. So which, I mean, with Lewis is here, we'd have the little Santana emoji with the guitar going across. But yeah, you'll see Shrewdness. We'll get it. But he's a 28-year-old former Yankees guy, DFA'd last year. But Pittsburgh picked him up, and they pulled a Tampa Bay thing with this kid. They changed his approach and said, you don't have a very good fastball. You keep getting hammered with it. Why don't you throw the sinker that no one can hit? And weird, he did that. And in 71 innings, struck out 69, 109 whip. So he actually delivered by throwing his best pitch more often. I mean, that's a crazy concept.
It's more of a closer name, too, I feel like.
Dennis Santana, when you can play the guitar solo as the
yeah.
So it's kind
of
feels
like a closer. Feels more like a closer. And a sinker baller? Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
That's right. So their main transactions, so they got Frazier, Tommy Pham.
Wait. No. You said Maine.
Yeah, well.
That was the main trend. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that was the main trend.
Pittsburgh, you got to keep your expectations accordingly. And they lost big names like Brian De La Cruz and Connor Joe and Rowdy Tellez. They'll have to see if they
Joe
can
Connor.
they'll have to repeat their dead last things without them.
How do you make up for Rowdy Tellez leaving the lineup? I don't know.
Those are the questions they're going to have to answer this spring. Right. And we'll see what they can do.
Good thing you brought in Tommy Pham.
Exactly.
That's what I got to say about that.
So the prospects coming up, I wish they could help other spots, but their pitching is going to get stronger, so from a position of strength.
Pitching looks good. I'm excited to see the pitching.
Yeah.
Yep. So Bubba Chandler and Thomas Harrington, both AAA, probably start the year, both top 100 prospects. And they can both be in the rotation. Easily for Bailey, will probably falter. And for Johan, I don't have a clever name, Oviedo. But those guys will probably on borrowed time, and we'll soon see the other 2 guys up. Now, the 2 offensive prospects they have in the organization, Connor Griffin, so he was the first-round pick last year, but he's going to be a couple years out. So he's 19. They think he has 30-30 upside. Sounds great. We'll find out in 2028 when they still have a year left on Brian Hayes' contract.
Right.
So see what they can do. Their other guy is a former first-rounder from 2022, the 4th overall pick. So he just doesn't have much standout, but Termarr Johnson. So he's a middle infielder, which they could frankly probably use because, like I said, it's Nick Gonzalez and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He'd have to outcompete. So if he can just do anything and show anything,
right?
Well, whatever. So that's what we got.
If he can hit his weight and avoid making 24 errors.
24 errors, he's probably got a good shot, right?
Yeah. So when we go back to the over-under of 76 and a half, and listening to what we told.
And you said they won 76 last year too, right?
Yeah, they won 76 last year, so I think they're going to be right about the same. I believe the pitching is going to be good enough in getting better that they can probably go ahead. I think they can probably get close to 500 ball. So I'm going to go over on this because I think they're going to be able to beat up on St. Louis, who's really bad. And I think Cincinnati is not much better. And there's just enough teams out there. And again, you're going to win 15 out of Skeens, and you're going to win 10 to 12 out of Keller and Jones. And surely these dudes can hit sometimes.
Just feel like with the starters, they're going to need to stretch it out, guys.
Yeah.
Get a few more out of you.
I know. And then Bednar needs to go back to being an all-star closer instead of an instant loser. So they can't get 8 losses out of your closer. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
So if he can just switch that around to being 8-3 as a closer, I think with everybody else, I think they can get a smidge over. I'm going to have him at right around 79 wins in my book. So I'm kind of with the Fangraphs. Fangraphs has 78. That's kind of where I'm leaning to.
Okay. A little more bullish on the Pirates.
That's it. So pitching and defense, we'll see if that's actually a real thing or not.
Here's the real question for you. What's the best Pirate uniform?
This is
an easy question.
I mean, you just like the classic rock yellow with the little goofy hat.
The goofy hat with
the circle or the stripes.
It's the stripes. It's the best uni. The best Pirate uni.
It is. It's god-awful, but it's fantastic.
That's why it's so beautiful.
Which is probably how their season's going to look. So god-awful, but when Skeens is wearing it, it's going to look great.
Right?
Especially if they show the press box enough. And
Livy. So, we didn't talk much about Livy, but I think Livy's going to be for a hell of a season.
I think we're at our time. So that's our wrap today for Pittsburgh. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, we're going to keep cranking out teams. I think we got Chisholm's going to be looking at Detroit for us soon. And I know we're going to be doing Minnesota coming up next. And Prue, what's your next one you'll be doing for everybody?
I got Milwaukee and Cleveland are my 2 most exciting ones coming up. So
nice. So stay tuned for those. We get going. But other than that, that's all we got for today. So thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Go Buccos.
Take care.